There is nothing wrong with your radio set. Do not attempt to adjust the sound or wiring. We are controlling transmission. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your radio set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery of tampering with temporal mechanics as we transport you to what's happening now.
Good afternoon, folks. It's 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, the 22nd of January, 1957. We have a great episode coming up for you. We'll be talking about some of the spacey things going on in the world right now, with developments from the hydrogen bomb to flying saucers to the cancellation of House of Cards. So stick around for What's Happening Now! Normally, we run with a segment called Moment of Clarity here at the top of the show, but today we are going to do something a little different. We're going to play a game of Fact or Fiction. I'm joined by my co-host, the esteemed sexiest couch potato of the year, Jack.
Hey everyone, let's have some fun here.
Right. Okay, so here's how the game works. I will read one of the statements from these cards here, and you will guess if it's fact or fiction. If you get the correct answer, you get a point. Got it, Jack?
Yep, ready to go.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Fact or fiction? Kevin Spacey is a pervert. This is not a subjective opinion either.
What Kevin Spacey are we talking about? The actor?
No, the one that gets spaced out all the time.
Oh, okay. I don't think I know very much about him.
Okay, then the actor.
Oh, okay. Well, the actor? No, he's not a creep. Fiction.
What about a pervert?
Oh, yeah, I guess he is a pervert.
Okay, you are correct. So you have plus 1 point. Very good, very good.
All right,
Are you
good.
ready for the second question?
Yep, sure am.
All right, question the second. Fact
Okay.
or fiction? Donald Trump is the president of Europe.
Okay, President of Europe. So, like the Donald Trump who was on The Apprentice?
Yes.
Okay. And here in 1957?
Sure.
Okay. What country in Europe?
The whole thing of Europe. If there's a president of Europe, A, you have to presuppose that. And if that's
Okay.
not true, you'd say fiction. B, if he is this so-called president of Europe, assuming it's true.
Okay, so I'm going to say it's true.
Okay, you're right. Yeah.
All
Plus
right.
1 point. You are finishing the day with a gaudy 2 points, putting you well ahead of your competition.
But I wasn't playing against anyone.
Well, better luck next time. Which doesn't
But
make
I
sense
won.
anymore because you won. All right. Well, improv usually doesn't work. Up next, we will planned improv. Up next, we will turn to our panel of guests for Shots Fired. Don't go anywhere, folks. Honey, the light turned green. People behind us are honking.
Hey, sorry, babe. Just checking out my fantasy matchup. Mark Ingram blew up for 3 touchdowns against the Bills. And Robert Woods caught a 94-yard touchdown from Goff. What a week.
Babe, you do this all the time. You can't be looking at your phone when you're driving. You're never going to see what's happening now on the road.
Has this ever happened to you?
Us?
Have you ever been mindlessly thumbing around on your phone when the stoplight had the audacity to turn green without your knowledge? Sounds like you need to download the new Roadway app today. Roadway takes in wireless information from front, side, and rear dash cams that you install to let you know what's going on around you when you're driving. Did the light just turn green? Roadway will send a pop-up notification on your phone to let you know. Accident on the side of the road? Right lane about to end? Roadway keeps you informed. Best part is, the pop-up notifications only show up at the very top of your screen, so your important YouTube videos can play through uninterrupted. Don't let driving take you away from your precious phone time. Download Roadway today.
Thanks, Roadway. welcome to another theologically sound edition of This Week's Antichrist. I'm your plucky host, R.F. Keeney. It's time to spin the wheel and find out who the Antichrist, Satan's first officer and bringer of apocalypse, is this week. Let it spin, let it spin, let it spin. The wheel has spoken. Folks, the Antichrist this week is Dr. J. Robert Oppenheimer. J. Robert Oppenheimer is the Antichrist this week. I predict he will attempt to use his hydrogen bomb to conquer the universe, leaving a wake of destruction in his devilish path. Join us next time as we reveal the definitive true blue beast of Revelation on This Week's Antichrist. And we're back. Let's get on to our shots fired.
Hey, before we do that, how about we take a minute to reflect on the important things in life?
And what would those be, Jack?
Well, liking this video and subscribing, of course. If you like our content, or maybe you just feel really bad for us for producing this shitty of content, please like the video and subscribe. We would love your feedback as well, so if you have comments or suggestions, leave a little something down below. Let us know what you think. Just yell at us. Whatever.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, well, folks, it's time for some shots fired. Shots Fired today is sponsored by Dave's Award Shop, located on Highway 27 in Delmont. Dave's Award Shop provides for all your award needs. So if you're in need of a Lifetime Runner-Up Achievement Award, look no further than Dave's. And Jack, I've bought one for me.
Yeah, I love that place. That's good for you.
You're just saying stuff like that because you're trying to fill airtime. You're not funny enough to come up with a real joke.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, don't worry, my voice acting's not very good. And now let's get to our panel of guests.
First up, he's president of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration and longtime listener of What's Happening Now, Dr. Jack Donahue.
Yeah, there's nothing like siphoning hard-earned taxpayer money into a thinly veiled dick measuring contest with the Soviets.
She's a crazed conspiracy theory nutjob who claims to have been abducted by space aliens on many occasions. It's Eileen Leckler.
They're out there gathering their fleets together for the coming invasion. Oh, come on, Eileen. Next up, he's a theoretical physicist and potential father of absolute annihilation, Mr. J. Robert Oppenheimer.
Ah, yes. Thank you for having me on the show. I finally have the opportunity to clear my good name from those who would disparage me. And disparaging me is not wise.
Why does Oppenheimer have a German accent? Anyways, finally, we have a very special guest in the studio. He's the creator, lead writer, and narrator of The Twilight Zone,
Mr. Rod Serling. You're traveling through another dimension, a dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind, a journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. That's the signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Ah, what a pro. Alrighty, listeners, let's unleash our guests on our first topic of the day. Panelists, what do you think of UFOs and flying saucers? And please, do everything you can to stay on track here and not get fucking off the rails.
Well, as you probably know by now, I've been the victim of many UFO abductions. The first time I was taken, I was a 17-year-old girl on her way to prom night. My boyfriend had just picked me up from my family trailer, and he and I were talking and laughing and listening gaily to the radio.
Hold your sweet summer horses for one moment. You're not about to share some phony baloney story about you and your boyfriend being abducted by aliens, then found a few days later in a field, are you?
No, you son of a bitch. I was going to share a story of the night I lost my virginity.
Why?
Why not? It was the happiest night of my life and stands contrast to the many years of pain and suffering I felt as the result of being abducted and experimented on by aliens.
Well, I, for one, would like to hear the testimony of Mr. Rod Serling on this one.
Wintry February night, the present. Order of events, a phone call from a frightened woman notating the arrival of an unidentified flying object. and the checkout you've witnessed with 2 state troopers verifying the event, but with nothing more enlightening to add beyond evidence of some tracks leading across the highway to a diner. They've got to find a Martian in the diner, and in just a moment you'll search with them, because you've just landed in the Twilight Zone.
I'm not sure that cleared anything up, but I am too busy to trifle with all of you. I have a lot of work to do planning my next big project.
What's your next big project?
That is a great question, Doctor. You see, I quite believe Eileen's tales of flight and fancy. I have always turned mine eye to the sky, like Alan Parsons has told us to, and I've seen nothing but a great threat. With the destructive capabilities of mine hydrogen bomb, I plan to conquer the entire universe in order to protect us from hostile alien forces.
That sounds great, Mr. Oppenheimer. Sign my country ass up to help. It's time I brought a little revenge back to those little green men that put me through so much psychological horror.
Whoa, hold your horses, friends. Just how far out are you trying to go? We don't even have rocket ships yet that can break the gravitational pull of our own planet. And even so, we're perhaps centuries from long-distance space travel within a reasonable time window.
And how are you so sure of this?
I'm the president of NASA, you oddly German-sounding dolt.
Oh, well, that probably makes you an expert at this.
That's right. First thing we need to do is beat the commies to the punch and get some men on the moon. Once that happens, we branch out to Mars, then the other planets in our solar system, and eventually we'll make contact with all the other warp-capable races in the Alpha Quadrant.
What the hell is the Alpha Quadrant?
Oh, right. Just forget I said anything.
How do you plan to beat the commies into space? Does NASA even have enough funding?
Not a chance in hell.
I see. Tell you what, Donahue, let's make un deal.
Excuse me. I'm all ears.
And all yawns. You see, I helped the U.S. government win the Second Great War almost overnight, so I've got quite a bit of pull with the bigwigs. I'll secure you more funding to win the space race with, if you promise to build me an invasion force that we'll use to protect American interests in the coming century.
You want us to be cheesy, planet-conquering warmongers with no interesting or redeeming qualities?
Yes, good doctor. Just like the Klingons that have been screwed up by Star Trek Discovery that doesn't understand Star Trek in the slightest.
This is great news. I love those Klingons in Star Trek Discovery. They're so well thought out. The time for vengeance will soon be upon us, just like it is for the Klingons against the Federation in Star Trek Discovery. Sign me up to help.
Yes, Eileen, I thank you greatly for your support, and because you watched Star Trek Discovery, I know now you are an idiot. As reward for your vigilance, I have all kinds of frontline infantry designs in mind for you.
Frontline infantry? Do I look like one of the well-designed Klingons from Star Trek Discovery? I've actually been abducted by many of these races you're wanting to conquer, including the Klingons. I'd be an invaluable intelligence officer in your new galaxy order, Mr. Oppenheimer.
Are you sure you want to open that door, Miss Eileen? Come on, Eileen. Perhaps we should consult Mr. Rod Serling on this one.
An old woman living in a nightmare. An old woman who has fought 1,000 battles with death and always won. Now she's faced with a grim decision, whether or not to open a door. And in some strange and frightening way, she knows that this seemingly ordinary door leads to the Twilight Zone.
Well, that settles it. Oppenheimer, you go get that funding from the government. I'll use that money to beef up our spaceflight interests, and Eileen, you wear that dress and we'll try you out as an intelligence officer in our new galaxy order. And if it turns out you're just too damn stupid, well, it's frontline infantry for you.
Fair enough.
Mr. Serling, I don't suppose we could entice you to join our cause. We would be securing America's interests for centuries to come.
The place is here, the time now, and the journey into the shadows that we're about to watch could be our journey. Up there in the vastness of space, in the void that is sky, up there is an enemy known as isolation. It sits there in the stars waiting, waiting with the patience of eons, forever waiting in the Twilight Zone. What do you think he even means by that?
I don't know. I think it means he's on our side, though. Yeah.
Alright, it's time to rein it in. Once again, our panelists failed to get into the heart of the matter, by Don Henley, choosing instead to veer off into some ridiculous fantasy only tangentially related to our topics of the day.
And anyway, I'm sure our listeners are used to this tomfoolery by now.
Tomfoolery? I know tomfoolery. Didn't he, rescue the hobbits from the fucking magical trees or whatever?
No, that was Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, come on. Eileen.
What do you lean on?
There's an Amy Grant song, but nobody will know it's actually.
Me? Do you lean on me?
No, I wouldn't use that far more recognizable song as a pun.
Oh, okay. No worries, Josh. I'm sure our listeners are used to this tomfoolery by now.
We're going to go through an infinite loop here of this. Tomfoolery? Jack, it's nice that you're trying to use old-timey jargon to fit in with our 1950s theme, but I think we all know the word for this is bullshit.
Well, tickety-boo, good fellow. Chip, chop, chip. Let's get some parting shots from our panelists. Dr. Jack Donahue, blast off. Oppenheimer and I will beat the commies to the moon, and then the rest of the universe will tremble in our wake.
Peachy. Miss Eileen Leckler, let loose.
I await the glorious rise of our new galaxy order.
Boy, she was a very poorly developed character this week. The writer should be ashamed. Mr. J. Robert Oppenheimer, bombs away.
First, it was the Axis powers. Next, it will be every forehead-ridged, pointy-eared, spoon-headed aliens that dares cross paths with my new galaxy order. Pretty creepy. Mr. Rod Serling, please see us off. The tools of conquest do not necessarily come with bombs and explosions and fallout. There are weapons that are simply thoughts, attitudes, prejudices, to be found only in the minds of men. And the pity of it is that these things cannot be confined to the Twilight Zone. Up next, we sit down for an interview with famed explorer Indiana Jones. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Honey, the light turned green. People behind us are honking.
Oh, sorry, babe. Just checking out my fantasy lineup. Mark Ingram blew up for 3 touchdowns against the Bills. And Robert Woods caught a 94-yard TD from Goff. What a week.
Babe, you do this all the time. You can't be looking at your phone while you're driving. You're never going to see what's happening now on the road.
The time, an autumn Saturday in the not-too-distant future. Location, the bustling intersection of 2 skew roads. It is here that we gaze upon a portrait, an artist's rendition of marital bliss interrupted by the constant screeching of distractions from all directions. For Mr. and Mrs. Jonathan Scarborough, ages 36 and 34, an ordinary day is about to devolve into a harrowing misadventure down the information superhighway. The artist would now ask that you avert your eyes, or otherwise witness the impending horror of a sickly otherworld just inside the reaches of the Twilight Zone.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Next up is our interview with our very special guest. But first, we have a special treat for you, ladies and gentlemen. You may know that I am, in addition to being a terrific TV host, a famous recording artist. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I thought I would give you a treat and debut my newest song. Dun, dun, da, 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 da. Frank Sinatra, he's sounding crap. Fly me to the moon and let me play out in the stars.
Cut. Look, this is all wrong.
What's the matter? I was in the middle of the song.
Yeah, this bit just ain't working. It's awful.
But you're the one who said to put the bit in.
Yeah, it's just not right. It ain't working, buddy.
But you said everybody wanted to hear me sing. You said they all wanted to hear my beautiful voice and that the tunes I have to give them are extremely rewarding on a social and aesthetic level.
What a bunch of baloney. That was just a line I fed you because I thought I could Weinstein you. This stuff is just garbage.
But I have a recording contract and I make money off of it.
Yeah, but no one wants to listen to some asshole sing right in the middle of a news program.
Well, what if I just scat it around instead?
Scat? Yeah, I guess that might work. Let's give it a try.
All right. Everybody gonna dance now. Yeah, I don't really know how to scat.
Oh, well, can you tell a joke?
Oh, if I could, we would have more listeners.
Well, let me try.
Okay, go ahead.
Knack, knack.
Who's there?
Howie.
Howie who?
How are we going to hide this dead body? Yeah, I guess this whole sequence has been terrible. Just get to the interview.
All right, folks. I don't know why I started talking like Curly when it was still just the Josh character there. Anyways, you may know my next guest from his lectures at Marshall College, or from his many appearances in the newspaper for his stunning acts of heroic Nazi punching. I bet you did not see that one coming. It's none other than Dr. Henry Jones, Jr. Welcome, Dr. Jones.
Yeah, just call me Indiana or Indy. Only Short Round calls me Dr. Jones.
Whatever happened to him?
Oh, he died.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was real tragic. After we escaped from the Temple of Doom, he came back to Connecticut with me and went to school. But the little guy always had an interest in adventure, so he joined the circus to be a daredevil act at the age of 13. He fell and broke his neck about a year later.
Oh, man, that's horrible.
Yeah, but he was always getting me into trouble, like getting me stuck in rooms with the ceiling collapsing and stuff like that. He only helped me once or twice, but it was still in jams he had basically caused.
Interesting. So, Short Round is gone. What about Sala? Have you ever heard from him anymore?
Nah, he OD'd on prescription painkillers about 2 years ago.
Oh, well, that's awful.
Yeah, it happens a lot in our line of work.
Really?
Yeah, us adventurers, we, run around doing all the adventuring stuff, and you get all sorts of injuries. You think I survived getting punted in that fridge like 3 miles without some serious pain? Or how about all the times I've been beaten to a pulp? You get some real achy joint pain after all that.
Oh, I guess I never really thought about it. We just see you splashed in the papers and then read about your adventures from your companion Marcus Brody's books.
Yeah, Marcus takes some liberties with the tales, but you do get banged up quite a bit.
Wait, what kind of liberties does he take?
Well, from his telling, you'd think that I had all these glorious fights, but basically I usually shoot people in the back, or even more commonly, I slip up behind them and slit their throats while dragging them into a dark corner.
Jeez, that's grim.
Well, how else do you think someone slips aboard a Nazi submarine for days and doesn't get noticed? You have to slit some throats to get things done.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Also, how did you get into the submarine when it was already submerged?
Once again, I had to slit some more throats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I just kind of held on to the side. At least that's in Marcus's tale. But in reality, I slit a whole hell of a lot of throats to slit my way aboard that submarine.
Yeah, okay, I guess that makes sense. So you're saying that Marcus Brody tones it down for the books and the movies?
Oh, yeah, you couldn't get half the shit we do past the censors these days. Bunch of sissy fucks worried about offending everyone.
Well, give me some examples of other things you guys do.
Well, there's a lot more sex in our adventures than you would think.
Well, you're a pretty attractive guy, I can see that.
No, not me. The sex you see of me in the stories is fairly accurate. I'm talking about all the behind-the-scenes stuff Marcus is doing. He always has all this intel that he's giving me, telling me where I can go get the next object and, artifact and whatnot. How do you think he gets it? He fucks his way into it. Marcus is a notorious womanizer and quite a hit with the ladies. Apparently he used to give Picasso a run for his money in that department back in the day.
Oh, I see. So, what else happens behind the scenes?
Well, not much more than I've already told you. We do kill a lot of innocent people. Firing your gun in a crowded town square tends to get bystanders killed. Of course, a lot of the goons I kill are just soldiers like any other, doing their job, usually pressed into service. They have wife, kids, etc. They aren't bad people or anything, but they're my way, so they have to get their throats slit and guts ripped out.
Golly.
Yeah, it's pretty gruesome work. I kind of wish I'd never stolen the Cross of Coronado when I was a little kid. It really sent me down a dark and bloody path. There's nothing glorious about ending the life of innocent people. Even people who are somewhat sinister or morally questionable, like a Nazi, just goon. You're ending everything he could ever be. He could have been a doctor, could have saved people's lives down the road. Instead, you're just snuffing out his life force.
Oh, God. Well, you know what? Let's just move on to my last question.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so there are rumors circulating about that you recently had a run-in with an alien civilization in South America. Is there any truth to that? It sounds like complete bullshit and doesn't belong in an Indiana Jones story.
Yeah, no. Look, what happened was we all were tripping on LSD after me and Marion's wedding.
I guess we thought it would be fun to shove a bunch of shit up each other's asses or something, and when we all came to, we were in a Colombian prison with sore rectums. We decided to just tell everyone that it didn't happen and that we encountered aliens instead.
Fascinating. Well, Indy, I have always wanted to meet you, and I guess this has been a pleasure.
Yeah, this was great. I would love to come back anytime.
Yeah, I think we have enough talking about your backside here. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. From the studios at WPO Quine Men's Correctional Facility, it's time for an always important news segment. And now, Bill E. Newsman.
Hello, I'm Bill E. Newsman, once again filling in for Kent Newsman, no relation, who's in a coma. Tonight, the entire universe takes time to remember our benevolent former High Chancellor Dr. J. Robert Oppenheimer on the first anniversary of his passing onto the immortal planes. First seen as a bloodthirsty despot in his early days of conquering the known universe, High Chancellor Oppenheimer's public image changed drastically after he discovered the key to eternal life and shared the lights of this knowledge with all who would take a knee before his planet-sized throne. Unfortunately, High Chancellor Oppenheimer's great power would eventually be usurped by his wife, Emma Watson, who now imprisons every man in the glorious new galaxy order in what she calls a balancing of male and female privileges. All hail the great High Chancellor Emma Watson.
From the studios at WVO Quine Men's Correctional Facility, this was your weekly news segment. Welcome back to the show, folks, and welcome back to the show, Jack. Where'd you go, buddy? You missed the interview with Indiana Jones.
Oh, I had to take it down.
Yeah, you couldn't wait till after the show for that?
No.
It doesn't make any sense. Why not?
Okay, look. I will be completely honest here. I went out onto the roof of the building to have a quick smoke between segments, because you can smoke a cigar in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
Well, up there, a bunch of glowing lights appeared in the sky, and suddenly I found myself transported on this alien ship, where guys with giant heads started cramming stuff into my ass.
Wait, that's amazing.
Yeah, I know. Well, they're obsessed with their asses anyway.
You just had a close encounter, and that's what you're curious about?
Well, yeah, doesn't the whole abduction thing make little sense? Why probe our asses? You're telling me they flew all the way across the stars, and they have to resort to sticking probes in our ass? What for? Look, we can already image people with our technology. You know, MRIs, CAT scans, everything like that. Why can't interstellar aliens do the same?
Well, interstellar aliens are from, like, the 5th dimension or some bullshit. Anyways, that sounds like a horrible experience.
Well, I mean, not really. It sucks and all that you have shit shoved up your ass, but I gotta ride on a spaceship, and I gotta meet some new people. Well, I'd say it's really not that bad of a deal.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Anyways, you missed Indy. He was kind of a Debbie Downer.
Debbie goes down on her.
Debbie goes down on Dallas.
Good one.
Nah.
Okay, I think we're done here.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's it for what's happening now this week. Tune in next time for another special episode.
Bye.